And I always say that the reason I think I kind of take the viewpoint that I do to marketing with this very personalized manner of marketing is that, obviously, like I said, I came from medicine. And to me, in medicine, we have bedside manner. And bedside manner is really trying to get someone to do something, although they're terrified of it, or they don't want to, or they're scared of it. Marketing's the same thing. I'm trying to get you to do something you don't know you need yet. I feel like you just don't know you need it yet. But once you figure it out, you'll be like, yeah, of course.
Welcome to the Brand Brief Podcast, where we have candid conversations with marketing leaders about the key strategies that are driving brand growth. This podcast is powered by Brand Method Media Group, and I'm your host, Kelly Kelly. Today's guest is Rachel Montague, owner and CMO of the Gourmet Companies, the oldest Black-owned food service management company in the U.S., which her father, Nathaniel Goldston, started in 1975 to serve HBCUs. Rachel now leads the family business alongside her mother as they continue to expand their original mission, which is to provide large-scale feeding across retail, institutions, and business sectors. Welcome to the show, Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I'd love to just level set a little bit here, and let's start with what falls under your role as CMO and owner. Where are you spending most of your time, and what's on your plate that might surprise some people?
Well, my mother and I own it officially, so both of us are owners. So we decided, since she's more of a strict book type person, that she is on, the accounting, all that side of the business, while I am on the more people-oriented portions of our business. So that includes marketing, but also some business development, which kind of, I think, naturally fall into each other because all marketing is any type of sales, realistically. So I do that, and I spend a lot of my time traveling because we have clients all over the country. So I have to spend a good portion of my time going both between all of our clients and going to things that will lead to new clients. So I'm usually pretty booked and all over. I could be anywhere at any given time. I think the surprising thing about my take on marketing is it is a lot simpler than I feel like people make it out in their head. Whenever I've had conversations with people will say, well, that's easy. And I'm like, I know. That's why I do this. So I'm like, and I feel everybody can learn marketing because me personally, I was a doctor initially and had a car accident where I could no longer do that anymore. So I went up to my dad and I literally said, like, because my entire life working with the company, all of his friends, clients were like, you'd be great in marketing. And I was like, nope, I'm going to be a doctor. So once that fell through and I needed something else, I walked in and I told him, I said, I'm going to do some marketing. And he was just like, you've nothing to offer. No. Yeah, he absolutely said it was no, like didn't think about it at all. I was like, no. He was like, you have nothing to offer in marketing. And I was like, well, first of all, I'm smarter than everyone in your company, yourself included. So I will figure it out. So the next day, I literally went in the building, and I know there's extra offices, and what were they going to do, kick me out the office? So I went in there. I found some old proposals that they were having done by someone else. And I used to be into computers back then, and I used to have Photoshop as a hobby in medical school. So I realized that the person that was doing their information would not only lock it so that they could not use it and change it in any way, which to me is a terrible thing to do and is very predatory practice. First I went in and unlocked them all. And then I took one of them and your average business proposal, it's a lot of words, most of them boring, hard for a human brain to get through them. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to turn these and make them look like a magazine. We're going to print them in the house. They're going to have covers, like beautiful covers and everything. And so the first client they went to, they took mine and the client was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I've never seen a proposal like this. So I looked at my dad like, told you. But they didn't make it easy on me, which I appreciate actually. And I took to it with the fervor of education that I had in medicine. I took to marketing. So I literally went on, I think Harvard's website, and I looked at their curriculum for their marketing students and what textbooks they use. So I went and then bought the textbooks and I kind of read through them at my own pace, all while also going to different, marketing events, learning more. So I was just a marketing sponge for a very long time. And so now, once I kind of got it all in, I realized that whether it's from Harvard or, JP Morgan, JP Morgan, it's always pretty simple. It really comes down to knowing what people want. And I think that's easy because you are a person. And so it's like, would I
Right.
want this? And so I don't feel like people ask that enough of themselves. Is this something I would want? Like, if I saw this, would I be like, get out of my face with this? Or would I be like, oh, that's pretty cool, you know? And so it's interesting where I stay because I do two forms of marketing. I do both B2B, selling our company, and B2C with the clients on the campuses, which is students. So it's a very different
Right.
type of needs for that.
That's really interesting that you said. I was just speaking to someone else about, I've been in marketing and kind of have a very similar introduction to it. I went to FAM for undergrad and they didn't have any marketing courses until my last semester. And I took the course and it was like a light bulb. I was like, oh my God, like this is what I wish I'd have been doing. But I was on my way out. And so self-education became the way. I would order books and I would just, this was back in 2006, 2005. I would just do a lot of self-education and I'm, always still learning.
Mm-hmm.
But even throughout my career, I will ask people the same question, specifically when it comes to content. When you challenge someone to take off their business person hat and view it from the consumer, I'm like, would you click on this? Well, no. So then why do you think
People will.
Why do you think other people are going to stop doing this at the speed of light and like focus on your, I guess that makes more sense. Just like, well, I guess it does.
Yeah. I feel like you said, the dropping the business sense and I have to do this and I heard this, but people are doing this in this field and da-da-da. And it's like, that may work in their field. It may not work in your field. It may not work for you
Right.
as a company specifically. So you really just got to step back and say, would I like this? Or like, what would my mom say when she,
Yeah.
if I'm doing to older people, what would my mom do if she saw this? Would she just throw it away immediately? Like, I'm dealing with this. Like, I'm too old for this. Or will a student see it and be like, that is so cringe?
And
My goal is not to be cringe to them.
no. And it is hard. Listen, Rachel, it's a little hard. Sometimes I have to check myself. I'm like, am I auntie status?
Exactly.
Was that auntie to say? Like that was very cringe. And my oldest is about that age where she'll let me know. She's 10 now. She's like,
Mine is 14, so I'm very cringe no matter. And then her friends will be like, your mom's cool. I'll be like, I told you.
Right. So you mentioned the two different ICPs. How do you balance in terms of strategy? Because you have two very different ICPs that you have to appeal to. What is that balance like when you're coming up with the strategic initiative for 2026? How do you balance that?
Well, what I do is I start with the students because I already know their schedule because, the school gives it to you ahead of time. So that gives me a good portion of time to be building up my whole year as to what we do. Like, we know that we're going to do events for all of these holidays. We know that we have these things called monopoly breakers that just break up the time so you don't feel like you're eating the same thing all the time. So we just basically, my goal is just throw parties all the time because everybody likes a party. So, I do all kinds of different parties. So I'm coming up with lists and, I even asked my daughter, like, what kind of party, like, what kind of special thing would you like, And so I come up with that first because that's just the easiest. Then once I've kind of set that together, I've made all my promotional stuff for it. And of course, it will change a little closer to the time it comes up where everything is not completely 100 locked in, but it's mostly locked in and everybody who's involved know that they will be doing it on that date. So that's how I kind of start with them. And then I bounce to the business sector in which I know that it is less about promotions and stuff because in my business is not something that would make sense for me to say advertise on the radio. Like,
Right.
everybody's not running colleges. Everybody's not running a large scale business. So mine is a lot more about relationships. So for that, I really have to build a lot of relationships in my space. And so that comes down to mostly networking, and even just I'm not pitching every time I see the people, I'm getting to know the people first so that when I decide I want to pitch to them, they don't feel like this is some random stranger. They feel like, oh, this is a
Sure.
friend of mine, maybe I can help them out. And they're more invested in helping me, because at that point they know me as a person, they trust me as a person, and that helps oftentimes. And with us, our clients, they go in contracts of 6 to 10 to 15 years.
Wow. Okay.
So my thing is, I have to know when each of these schools, at least,
Yeah.
contracts are up.
Yeah.
And so, say there's one that I know is coming up in 2 years. That's when I really start being there at the place with that president really often. So, just in their face, they see me all the time. They're like, hey, Rachel, what's going on? And, so it seems like a friendship. Meanwhile, I know that I'm, revving them up so that when it comes time, my goal is for them to not even need to send an RFP out. I need them to have already, and, I'm dropping little hints in these conversations. Like, yeah, we did this, all the amazing things we're doing for the other schools. Like, yeah, we just had this event. It was so amazing. The kids loved it. They said it was the best thing they've ever experienced. Da 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 da. So, but it doesn't seem like I'm saying it to them. I'm just talking to the other presidents who I am at their school, and they'll be like, yeah, our kids just like love you. And I'm like, I know. Because we're lovable. And, it just becomes a joke. And so they're used to hearing it at this point. So by the time, you know, maybe 6 months out from when they're going to start to really look for people, they already have me in mind, because they've already heard about me, and they've heard at this point things from their counterparts. They've heard all of the nice things that my other presidents have to say. So it's not like, even like at that point, they have to go out and call people like, hey, how is she at your school? Or how's Gourmet doing at your school? So, that makes it so, like I said, it's the human part of our business.
Yeah. So
Being a human.
it sounds like relationships and reputation, and patience.
Yes.
I mean, that's a tremendous lead time that I think, especially when you're talking about in the B2B space, people are always trying to shorten that sales cycle as much as they can.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to relationships on that level, you can't rush it, because I think that would contribute to it feeling inauthentic and just be counterproductive to what you're trying to ultimately achieve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, what will happen oftentimes is, in these things where I'm really focusing on this 3-year person, what will happen is someone will get to really like me, and then they'll switch schools, and then they'll switch to a school where they then get to determine. And then they're like, Rachel, I'm now the president of this school instead of that school. Maybe their previous school had a 10-year that they were waiting on, but this school, they're looking now. So then they'll call me and be like, hey, I really want you guys to come out. And I'm like, sure, great. So it's in that way.
Is already built.
Yes, relationships are so important in that space where you can't just, send out blasts or commercials and things of that nature. Like, you can't cold call them like, hey, are you looking for a food service? So they'd be like, no, get on my phone. So, in things like that, you have to learn how to just take it easy and take it. Like, I look at it as, everybody, you have your friends, and you have your associate friends, like another group of friends. I just start looking at them like my associate friends. Like, anytime there's a thing, I'm just going to hang out with people I know.
Yeah.
Let's talk to him in him,
Right.
So I feel like if you take it that way and take it easy and just kind of go with the flow, sometimes you have to go with the flow. I think in marketing, there are so many plans in play that we put in plans for days in marketing, but in some things you have to recognize that you can't really have a hard plan. You can only have a goal, which is, my goal is to get this guy who's going to have a food service in 3 years. So, yeah.
I think too, as an era of marketing where I see there's so much pressure to like attach a marketing activity directly to revenue.
Yes.
And I understand, obviously, as a business or an organization, you have to make money. But I was just speaking with another guest about this. There has to be room for relationships. There has to be room for some type of creative. There has to be room for brand and experience. If you try to eliminate all of that and, like you said, get strict about everything directly attaching a post, a meeting, an event, a conference, you lose long term. Like, I think you lose opportunities that could be of tremendous value if you say to yourself, well, that conference you went to, Rachel, we didn't get a relationship from that. So we're never going back. It's like, I don't know if that's the best way to look at it. Like if relationships are part of the business, especially for B2B, and especially when you're talking 6-10 years, maybe we continue to go to 2 out of 5 of these conferences, whether we get a deal or not.
And I think the thing is, whatever your industry is, you have to stay with the people in your industry.
Yeah.
So if you're in tech, you got to go to all the tech things. They may be boring. You may not like them. You better just make the best out of them. I mean, if you're at your law, go to the legal things. Because even if you're not getting a direct hit on a client, you're also a lot of times getting information that you didn't know, or information that you look at that makes you want to like rethink some of your things. Like, well, maybe, maybe I want to try doing that. But also at these events, I also see the companies I am against.
So you're gathering intel.
Yeah. So it is all about information is the most powerful thing you can have as anybody, any business. Information. So I'm scooping, I'm listening to them talk to my clients too. I'm seeing how they're pitching, and I'm thinking I have to do that better, or just not do that at all, because that was terrible. Like I'm learning from, or say that they will do something that makes the clients like, I'm like, I don't need to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's helping me be better at what I do by being able to see the game. You have to see the game from all the sides. It's like chess. You have to see several plays ahead. You have to watch out for what your opponent is doing. It's all like, I told somebody, I tell people often, and they think it's hilarious, but it's so true. I guess because I was in medicine, we dealt with, in psychology, we were talking about like con artistry and stuff like that. And, so, which I always thought was interesting. And then I read a book on con artistry, and I realized marketing is no different than con artistry. One is done for good, one is done for bad, One is for evil, one is for good. One is not taking advantage of. But if you read a con artistry book, you will get so much, because the thing about con artistry is the cons, they really learn so much about the people that they are about to con. And they really learn so much about them that they can think as they think. And so they can do anything that would make this person comfortable because they already know how they think. And I think that part of psychology is very important, is understanding how your goal entity thinks. Yeah. And since you're not them, sometimes there are ways to make it easier. So I would suggest to anyone who is starting marketing, in marketing, to try it.
I'm going to confess something, because you brought it up, so I'm going to blame you. I will sometimes, as a seasoned marketer, sometimes I will go and like look up individuals who I know to be scammers, and like I will watch their content just to reverse engineer or try to decipher and pull out where they're making this connection. Why are they using certain words? How is the video set up? What are they like? What's the play? Like, how are they putting this together?
That's so true, though.
And I will watch that content sometimes for that
one
purpose.
is for good, one is for evil. You just have to because you can always use, like, you'll notice that sometimes they repeat one thing over and over and over. Sometimes it's the body language. Sometimes it is my body language is meeting your body language, so you're assuming we're similar, sort of situation. Yeah. So I find psychology, a huge help in marketing.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've never told anybody that, but I will. Every once in a while, you in Atlanta, I'm in Atlanta, so there's a few.
Oh yeah, there's scammers. There's a few. Look, if you need to study a scammer, this is the place to come, because they are all around.
So speaking from the flip side of the relationships and that piece, I would like if you could share any insights on the metrics you are using to track. How are you measuring marketing success, and how do these metrics inform your strategic decision making?
Okay, I'll start with the schools, because they're kind of easy, because that's the most trackable. Like I said, with the relationships one, that's a little less trackable by any kind of metric per se. But the students, we have them take these tests, not tests, but like quizzes or not quizzes. What are they called? Questionnaires. Yeah, surveys. Survey. I was like, something that doesn't go towards your grade. Yeah, so we have them take surveys a lot. And what I'll actually do is I go and I have survey parties. So, because everybody's usually only people that are angry with you will feel the need to, take their time to write something out and put it in the box. So if you have a situation where you have a box of questionnaires and you're only getting negative feedback, there's a reason behind that. Again, psychology, happy people don't feel the need to stop usually and write anything. So it can be off and you can't properly judge yourself. So what I like to do is like every 3 months, I like to go and I will literally throw a party in the cafeteria and I will have DJ there. It will be a legitimate party.
Sure.
I'm usually the DJ, which I feel like I'm getting a little old for, but like I'm the MC. I'm in there like, hey, like, what are we doing? Although our generation knows how to party more, so that might be helpful. But so what we do is we get them excited to be in there. And then what we do is I have like prizes, like good prizes, like, AirPods and Air Maxes, a couple of like Visas, iPads, all kinds, like maybe 5 to 10 presents or whatever. And so what I say is, and so at that point we use SurveyMonkey. And so then if everybody goes on, takes a quiz, they get a ticket number. So it's a raffle. So if you've taken it, the only way you can win something is, you gotta play. You gotta
Participate. Yeah.
play.
Right.
So then students really get into it and they're into it. And we're like, and I tell them, just because I'm here in here giving you presents and money and stuff, like, be honest. Like, if you have something negative, I need to see the negative thing. Like, I need to explain it to me because what I tell them always, my goal is for you guys always to be happy. If there's something that makes you happy and it is within my control to change, I'm going to change it. Like, it's not a big deal. So they really get excited at the parties. They love it. They love like the free, anything free. Everybody gets something free. Like I think I have like a bag with like school stuff in it or whatever for everybody that says gourmet on it. Like we have like little highlighters and all kinds of stuff that they like or whatever. They like knickknacks. So everybody gets some things. They come and I get a huge batch of data all at once.
Yeah.
Which is also an amazing thing to have in marketing, is to not have to kind of wait it out, like just to have all of it in one night. And then it's crazy for me when I have to go home and deal with it because what I'm like on tour for those months. Mm-hmm. I go from one school party to the next school party to the next school party. And it's funny because you have kids like, hey, you want to stay and party with us? No, I don't.
I'm working.
No, I'm working. I don't I'm not here because I like you. So, I do that. And so then when I get home, I have all of these batches of data to deal with. And what I like doing is actually running school's data through AI. And then AI gives me more detailed, like I was saying, like in psychology, there are little things that you can see and, things like that. Chat sees those and it will say, it looks like, you're having a problem with this. This is the fact that they keep saying this is kind of alluding to another thing.
Right.
And so I find that very helpful. So, I mean, obviously I go through the data myself and then, which I break it down just in numbers charts like everybody else does. But then so what I think and between what I think and what the chat thinks, that's when I go, and then I break it down to what on these things are things that I can change. What I can't change the hours that the cafe is open because that's dictated by the school.
Right.
But like, is there something that I can change? And then what I do is when I change something based upon these, I then go back to the school. We have these little cards that say, what do they say? You asked, we listened. Like, and it marks, and it has like a little, like the little button that shows you're there, like the little oval pin drop thing. So on anything that we've changed based upon their demands, we put a little thing next to. So it tells them that we did listen to what you all had to say. Like, this change came because of you, because I want them to see that that their opinion matters to us. And
so this is super interesting because from working with different companies and different clients, getting that type of data has always been a challenge. But based on what you're sharing, you basically created an experience around the survey. When most people, they're going to send an email, they're going to have a QR code.
and nobody's going to want to do
they're
it.
gonna put the onus on the individual to find the time to stop what they're doing. You've created a destination, you've created an
Mm-hmm.
experience with
Mm-hmm.
real incentives.
Yes.
And then you also sort of round it out with proof that we listened, and like, here is specifically what we have changed, and whether that was your pick or not, it reinforces like their contribution and like their participation in the process.
And that it's about them, and that, which is, I already expressed, it's about you and your college experience. I had a wonderful college experience. I went to Hampton. We lived it up. And actually, my company was doing Hampton at the time I was there. It's just a little embarrassing, but
interesting.
It's very interesting. People were asking me for rotisserie chickens all the time. It's like, no, I'm not going to steal
I don't just have a
rotisserie
rotisserie chicken somewhere.
I gave one of them to my friend for his, when he graduated, I said, here's the rotisserie chicken you've been asking for. But yeah, so like what you eat is a part of, your eating is a part of life. It's such a big part of, at home, at school, wherever you are. And it's a big part of your college life. So, you know, to the extent that we can, we want to make it feel like, we want you to look back on it and not be like, oh, we had great parties, but the food was trash, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So the thing is about making, and I think it helps a lot of them that I went to HBCU. So they know that I understand, you know, where they're coming from, the issues they got with the registrar's office, because every HBCU got a registrar office issue. And actually what I used to do, and I still do it to an extent, but what I used to do when I was about 10 years younger, I used to dress like, I would just put on sweats or whatever. And my first day, I would go to the school and I would just like blend with the students, and I'd just be asking them random questions. And I would get so much data from just going and speak to people. And like, there'd be situations, like there was this one situation where at one of the schools, the kids told me that there's this one woman who is always evil and cussing people out. And I was like,
in the calf?
Yeah. And I was like, excuse me? And they were like, and of course they're excited about it now because they get to tell her. And so they're like, I'm going to show you. So he goes up to her and he says, ma'am, there are no more spoons. Can I have a spoon? And she was like, I don't bleep, 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 bleep. Got time for that? And I was like appalled. So what I do is the first day, because a lot of my employees don't know who I am. Because they are in our industry, they change a lot because they're hourly employees and things of that nature. So the next day I go as myself, dressed as myself, more adult like, and I get everybody together. And I was just like, some of you may have noticed I was here, some of you may not have. And I start off by telling everybody, like the people that did good, like, I noticed you did really well in making the kids, or giving them extra options or giving them extra food or blah, 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 blah. But the woman who was cussing, I was like, you can just meet me in the office because you don't even need to listen to this, because she was fired on the spot. Wow. And so that day, as I'm walking around the cafe, obviously as me, the kids are like, where's old girl? And I said, she's fired. And they were like, that quickly? I was like, absolutely, absolutely. As I said, to me, it makes it different for them to feel like we're listening to them.
Builds trust.
And that's kind of with the other piece. All of it is about trust. Right. Because, and it kind of goes to the con artistry part too. If you're thinking I'm trying to con you, you're going to be like, no. But if used in the correct way and from a person that actually does care, it really works. And then I get spies as well. Kids love being spies for me. I have so many of them.
Kids love being spies.
When I say they love it, it's like, and then the fact that I'll pay them for it, they're like, oh my God. So, I paid them and they're spies. And so I was like, when you see stuff wrong, tell me about it. I was like, if it's something that visually is, take a picture of it. I need to see it. And I give them my cell phone number. So they're not going to my assistant or anything, goes straight to me. Sometimes they're like, I know you were a biology major. I'm a biology major. How'd you get through chemistry? I'm like, okay. I mean,
you need to focus.
Exactly. Several of them have invited me to graduations, which I'll always go if they invite me, and I always give them a graduation present. But so having that network of spies, they feel like they're actively involved in policing what happens to them. Whereas at other schools, I've noticed a lot of people are just like, they just do anything to us. Like, they don't care. They don't, and that's when they start these online crusades. I don't need an online crusade for going against me, because those are PR disaster.
Nightmare, yeah.
When these kids take off and there's whole, hashtags.
Once it hits TikTok.
That's what I'm saying. It's a beast to deal with at
Yeah.
that point because it's already on the internet. So
Yeah.
I feel like I use that, and so it's really mostly interactions and the surveys that I do. They give me all the information I need. I have other metrics that I use for the company and how they're doing in other ways. Metrics like our food, but that goes into like the business part of it, like
Right.
how much food we're using, what are our prices, that kind of stuff. I use a lot of metrics for them, but that's not really marketing. And I realize that people want authentic.
Yeah.
People want authentic. We're in the day and age where we're all stressed. We're sick of everybody messing with us. You just got to be authentic. And then you also have to learn to leave people alone when they tell you to leave them alone. Because sometimes the fact that you just left them alone, sometimes later they'll come back and be like, I said no before, but are you still available?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They cannot feel that you are pressuring them, that everybody has to make so many decisions these days, and everybody's having to cut back on so much of life and luxury that if you press someone, it's not going to work out because that's
Really
just
about
adding to,
anything too. Like
yeah.
don't make things hard in any way. It doesn't matter
Mm-mm.
how small it may feel. That's business, personal, otherwise, because everybody is dealing with the pressures from business and personal. So if
Yes.
you pile on with that, like personally, I am the type of person, I gotta, obviously everybody else have a lot going on. I do like to serve.
Mm-hmm.
If I am volunteering to do something, you need to outline to me what it is you need me to do. Do not send me on a mission to search through emails, to do, like, you have to
make it
because it's just, you have to make it super easy, and then you're going to get your best work from me. But that's just how I am in general, whether it's personal or professional. If you present it to me in an organized way, I'm going to give you my best. If you task me with the mental load of figuring things out, no.
I think that's how people are in general. The more that they feel you're helping them, the more they're willing to help you.
Absolutely.
And that just how it ends up working. And I always say that the reason I think I kind of take the viewpoint that I do to marketing with this very personalized manner of marketing is that, obviously, like I said, I came from medicine. And to me, in medicine, we have bedside manner. And bedside manner is really trying to get someone to do something, although they're terrified of it, or they don't want to, or they're scared of it. Marketing is the same thing. I'm trying to get you to do something you don't know you need yet. I feel like you just don't know you need it yet. But once you figure it out, you'll be like, yeah, of course. So it's like taking
makes all the sense in the world.
That very personalized look at it. And when I was in the hospital, everybody's like, everybody love, like, your patients love you. And I was like, I'm down to earth with them. I am, I'm chill. Like, you come in, I don't want to I'll listen to it. Like, are you okay now? Is there anything I can do to make you better? Right. Like, okay. I was like, I see you. I feel you. And like in medicine, I don't think they explain things to people enough. And that's why people get frustrated because they have no idea what's happening to them. It's the same thing in marketing. You have to explain things to people in a very common sense manner.
In a specific way. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So now, what are you working on next that excites you about the company's next chapter?
So what I'm working on next is, have you heard of the fast food called Mrs. Winners?
Yeah.
So we just bought Mrs. Winners.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm excited about like all of the rebranding that has to go behind that. And I'm working on that now. And the guy who owned it previously, he was a lawyer, so he didn't really know anything about it. So he just was not helping all his franchisees out enough, and they just kind of left. It was never that, they went out of business because, people didn't like it. Like, they have a 94% approval rating. And so we're starting from that, but making it better. And we're going to add some things that are even for like vegetarians, so that if you go get a family meal and you've got a vegetarian in the family, they don't have to just eat sides, So we're doing that. We're adding things like like salmon to the menu, like a salmon breakfast biscuit, because the goal is to not just have it in the Southeast. We want to, with a lot of interest in expanding it, like to Texas and LA. So we want it so that it'd be good for everybody. But first, I had to go in and look at all of the current stores, and I noticed they're all doing different things. They all have different advertising. They have different menus. They got different pricing, to the point where I could not give you I didn't feel right giving you a corporate coupon, because at one store you might be able to buy 2 chickens. At the other store you might be able to buy 1.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting how that even can happen. So our
Right.
first kind of is getting everybody on the same page, making sure everybody's doing the same thing, make sure everybody feels supported, and so we're coming in. So they're loving it. They were like, we've never had anybody help us in any way. And it's like, well, we don't help you out in all the ways because we cannot do this like this. So once we kind of get the people that we currently have, to a more stable point, we are going to then, I'm working on obviously my food people, they're doing that part. So now I'm working on the rebranding that's going to happen, which I'm pretty excited about. I also went and worked in one for
Did
3
you?
weeks.
How was that?
I had fun, honestly. I'm
You
not gonna
did?
lie. I don't know if I'm just like simple like that. I just like simple stuff, but like I had a good time because you're not making any big decisions or anything. You're just doing do 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 do. I loved it. We didn't tell them that I was even with the company.
Really? You just, okay.
Mm-mm.
So you were
Dude,
like
I was just
undercover boss.
kind of.
Yeah.
Obviously, I do a lot of undercover work in my
Yeah.
marketing, but yeah, just working there. And so for me, I was able to see what stresses out the employees so that they can at the end stages be nicer. So that you're always nicer if it's easier for you. So I need to make it easier for what ways I can make it easier for the employees. And then hearing kind of what people were yelling at them over the intercom, what people were mad about, what people were excited about, that was very interesting to me. So I had a good 3 weeks. I enjoyed it. I still have my apron and my little hat in my outfit. I wear them occasionally, and people are like, do you work there? And I say, yes, I do work there, because I do work there.
You do.
So yeah, so that will be the fun thing. We're about to put a bunch of them on LSU's campus.
Awesome.
So I'm excited about that. That's my next. That adds a whole other element of marketing.
I know that's a big lift. That ain't no light
It
work.
is. It is, and it'll be another big learning skill for me to catch up with the difference between franchising and the other forms of food we've done in the past. We've had franchises because we put them on our schools, but like being the top of an act where it's your franchise is a whole nother monster.
Yeah.
So that is my focus right now.
That's very exciting. Well, that's going to wrap today's you, owner and CMO of the Gourmet Companies. We'll have contact information for the Gourmet Companies in the show notes for anyone interested in learning more. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. We'll see you in the next episode.